This is Detroit Alley Cat. Welcome back to my channel. If this is the first time that you've been to my channel, I am a true crime YouTuber. I also do unboxings and other things, but I'm pretty much known for my true crime videos. A lot of people love me or hate me, but whatever the case is, I'm still here and I'm gonna do a subject today that is kind of a hot topic right now. So, without further ado, let's get spooky. All right, so let's get into this case. This case is going to take place in Dallas, Texas, and it's about a little boy. His name is Cash Gernon, and he was murdered. And I really want to talk about what happened and the twists and the turns because something just does not feel right about this case. I've been watching the footage of the case, I've been reading the articles of the case, and there's just something that's just not, I don't know. It really has some kind of like missing piece of information. So I was hoping that I could do this YouTube channel and for you out there that could possibly catch something that I didn't catch, or maybe somebody in Texas watches this and they're like, no, this is wrong. But I want to go through the case because it's really important. It was May 15th, and what happened is that Cash was with his twin brother. His twin brother's name is Carter, and they were in their room, and their room has this like crib and it's made into like a day bed. It's really tiny. It's kind of too small for them. They're 4 years old. They're absolutely adorable little boys. And for some reason, there is a surveillance camera in the room, which right there I kind of find odd. Yes, little kids do have baby monitors in their room, but this really didn't seem like it was like a baby monitor. It really looked like a surveillance camera. And it just stuck like it made me feel, I don't know. It just was weird. It was weird. So there's a surveillance camera in Cash and Carter's room, and at 4:58 you see a suspect enter the room, and he's standing in front of this day bed and he's staring at these twins. Now, I promise you, I've watched the footage, and this is like truly what horror stories are made of. Like they're laying in their bed, and this man is standing over their bed and just staring at them. And he waits for a few minutes, and all of a sudden, he just reaches down and he grabs Cash. And he leaves, and you can kind of see like the look on Cash's face, like he's kind of out of it. He's like wondering he just looks really out of it, like he's half asleep. And then he leaves, and it's dark when Cash is taken. And in about 2 hours later, the same man returns and enters their room and starts staring at Carter. And what's disturbing about this is like it looks like in his hand he's holding a pocket knife. And as he's standing there staring at Carter, and you can only assume that he's gonna go in for like swipe number two, he hears something and he turns around and he like looks back, and then he decides like, nope, that's just not a good idea, and he's out. And I'm sure that like the way that I described it is not the way that this person was thinking, but he did leave. And that is all that you see. Well, actually, you see a little bit more on the surveillance camera. Like, I would say a half hour to an hour later, Cash's twin brother wakes up. Carter wakes up. He's yawning. He's looking like an adorable little 4-year-old, but then he starts looking around the room and he's like, you can tell he's thinking, well, where is Cash? And that is pretty much all you get of the surveillance camera footage. Now, if you want to see it, you can go ahead and Google it. It's all over YouTube, and we're going to talk about that in a second because I find it very odd that it's all over YouTube because that's something that usually is held by the police. for like evidence. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, maybe it is just immediately posted out there, but it's out there. The next part of the story is kind of disturbing. I mean, it is very disturbing. There was a woman, and the two different articles that I read said that, the woman was walking her dog. The other article said that she was running. She was taking a jog, but as she was running down the street, she came upon a body that she at first glance thought was a dead dog. But the closer that she got, she saw little feet and they were covered in ants. And the thing about ants in like Texas, I lived in Georgia for a while and like they had red ants there. So I know why she would mention the ants. Like ants in the southern states are like no joke. Like they will bite you, they will leave marks, welts. Like so for somebody to be laying on the ground and the ants being like crawling on them, there's something not right because they're usually typically biting and it's kind of painful. She also said she noticed as she got closer that the little boy had no shirt on and that he was covered in blood. So she immediately called the police and the Dallas Police Department. They came in and they were looking around. They like totally came to the neighborhood and they were everywhere checking everything out. I'm sure there's better words. And, at this point, they're trying to figure out who the little boy is, who did this, all these things. Now, here's where it gets a little crazy, okay? Let's talk about the circumstances of Cash's home life and his parents. So, Cash has a biological father. His name is Trevor Gernon, and he has a biological mother. Her name is Melinda, and a biological grandmother. Her name is Connie. Connie. And both of these biological parents are not taking care of these children. Like they're not in their lives for whatever reason. And the person that is watching these two little boys is Monica Sherrard. Now, Monica Sherrard lives in this house and she lives with these four other kids, and they're her children. And Monica Sherrard, I I don't want to be mean because I just let's talk about the facts, okay? Monica Sherrard has a rap sheet. She has a criminal history. I'm looking it up for you right now. Monica has been arrested for an assault, a DUI, theft, identity theft. There's like more stuff, domestic violence, and just recently, within the last few months, a DUI. So that gives you kind of an idea of what Monica's character is. There are people out there that do have pasts and they like are good people and they're trying everything to in their power to fix the situation. So I don't want to judge her too much for her quite lengthy rap sheet, but I find it six kids, okay? Six kids are living in this residence, and Monica is the only one watching these children. And that's like an accomplishment. Like six kids watching six kids is a lot of responsibility. It's financially a burden, and this woman has a rap sheet, and it just doesn't seem like it's a very good foundation. But I could be wrong. She could be like trying to turn her life around. She's doing better and all this stuff. I'm just explaining the facts. So that's Monica. Now, the dad, Trevor Gernon, had been living with Monica just until recently. I believe in March, Trevor had taken off. Now, he released a statement through his family, which, by the way, he didn't come forward when his son was found dead. He had his family record a statement and release it to the public. And I'm going to tell you why. So in March, I guess Trevor Gernon got busted with pills or something, and he was court mandated to go to rehab. Well, they didn't have a bed open for him, so they said that he was going to have to spend a couple nights in jail. Now, this is according to Monica, but the thought of him spending a couple nights in jail scared him so much that he took off and he left because he didn't want to go to jail. And so he avoided a warrant. Now, what he's telling the public is that he did not want to disrupt his twins and he took off looking for a better job in Houston and a better life. I have a problem with this. Okay? It all sounds warm and fuzzy, but here's the problem. Monica does not have legal guardianship of Carter or Cash. So if Carter or Cash, and this is during a pandemic, okay? If Carter and Cash get sick, kids, 4-year-olds, they fall, they get sick, they have fevers, they need to go to the hospital sometimes. They need dental care. They fall, they trip, they bust their mouth open, a tooth comes flying out. Monica has no legal right to take them to get them medical care. So their father's saying they left because they didn't want to disrupt their life and he was looking for a better job. Okay, you left your kids with this woman that has no ties to these children whatsoever. And then here's another thing. Okay, so Cash was found at 6:30. Carter woke up at 7 o'clock. Monica woke up at 10 and reported her child missing at like 10:15, 10:30. So Cash has been like found by the police, everybody at 6:30, and Monica wakes up at 10:30. So that's like 4 hours later. And she calls and reports the Cash missing 4 hours later. And then when she reports Cash missing, she tells them that she's their mother or Cash's mother. I know I'm saying their because I'm like assuming, I don't know. I have this thing about twins and I think like I feel like twins are they're really connected. So sometimes I kind of see them as like they're two people, but they're very much kind of like one person. I don't know, that's strange. It makes no sense, but that's how I feel. And that makes it all the more tragic because this little boy named Carter, he's not going to have his twin. And there's pictures of Cash and Carter and they're sleeping on each other and you can tell they're very connected to each other. But anyway, let's go back to Monica calling the police. So she calls the police and she says her child is missing. Okay, why would you tell the police that that's your child? Like, are you not hindering the investigation by saying something that's not true? You're not fostering that child? Because if you're fostering that child, you would have to go to court and they would have to give you like legal documentation. You're not their parent because you haven't adopted. That's like a legal process in America. You are babysitting these kids. And it just doesn't make any sense to me because why would a single mother of four take on two more children? And yes, maybe she's got like a really good heart, but she's not getting any financial support. The state's not giving her anything for this. I mean, it sounds fishy, okay? It just sounds fishy. Is the father sending money to her? Well, why wouldn't she give them the address of the father? Because she didn't. She didn't tell them where the father was. And in fact, after all of this went down and a lot of people got mad at her and then started blaming her for this, she said that Trevor was a coward and he needed to come home and he was making it where she had to face all of this by herself. And that's like, all right, now let's talk about the biological mother because this is important. So, the biological mother Her name is Melinda, and according to Melinda, she said Monica would not let her see her children. She asked around Christmas time, which, by the way, Trevor would have been in the home around Christmas time. She asked around Christmas time if she could Skype with her children or talk to her children, and Monica said no. Why would Monica have any right to tell the mother of their children, of these kids, that they couldn't talk to them? Like, where does that like authority come in? But this is all allegedly according to Melinda. And then according to Monica, Melinda is a trucker and she has no time for the kids and she's like the greatest savior and she's the one who took care of them and like I don't, it just is giving me, there was just a case in Colorado. I think it was um Gannon Stouch. Was it Gannon Landon Gannon? I don't know. There was a little boy that was missing in Colorado and they ended up finding him in a suitcase and his stepmother like bashed the biological mother and this is like so similar. It's just so similar. And I'm sorry, I don't know the name off the top of my head, but this is just giving me the vibes of that. Eventually, that Saturday after they found the little boy, they went ahead and they checked out the surveillance footage and they were able to identify the suspect. They identified the suspect as Darren Brown. And Darren Brown was arrested, but Darren Brown was not arrested for murder, which is once again interesting to me. He was arrested for kidnapping and burglary. The only thing I can think of is that they're trying to build a rock steady case. It just, there's something not right. And then, okay, so they arrested this boy, Darren Brown. And I do say boy because he's 18 years old. My question is, what did an 18-year-old boy want with a 4-year-old boy? Now, they haven't released if Cash has been sexually assaulted or anything else. They did say that he was killed with a sharp object. And I'm just going to assume that, that's the pocket knife that it looked like Darren Brown had when he was in the surveillance camera. It's just there's so many weird things to me and I hope I'm not jumping all over the place, but here's another thing. All right, so Monica has 4 kids and her oldest child, his name is Cameron. And Cameron was like interviewed, and when he was interviewed, he was talking about Darren and he was saying like okay, first off, Cameron is the same age as Darren, all right? Now, here's something else. Cameron and Darren, they have very similar builds, they have similar hair, and they're the same age. It's just a little suspect, I just think. And they went to the same high school. So Cameron talks about that. He's like, yeah, I knew that guy in high school and I was friends with him. Do you think that's odd? I think it's odd. And so he's like, well, friends aren't, and then he says a certain word. And he's talking about Cash and he's like, I'm all cried out. You're all cried out. And then he calls Cash his little brother. Okay, I'm just gonna say that this is like an assumption on my part, but most 18-year-old boys are not gonna call a boy staying with them in their house that has just been there for a couple months, a 4-year-old, their little brother. I don't know, maybe like Cameron's this amazing sensitive kid, but also while he was being videotaped at a certain part in the videotape, he like turned around and it almost looked like he smiled for a second, which I found a little creepy. So Darren Brown's mother, her name is Minnie Brown. You could actually, she was interviewed over the phone, and she said that Darren Brown was a very kind person and he's been around many kids and he would never do anything like this. And she thinks that something's weird and her son is innocent and he's being framed. Okay, I I can't tell you 100% for sure that that is Darren Brown in the video, but if you watch the video, it looks a lot like Darren Brown. But at the same time, Cameron, Monica's son, also looks very similar. Now, it's a surveillance camera, so at one point it's like night vision. You can't tell the color of the skin, but in the morning you can. There's something weird. There's something really weird. Like, how did Darren know how to get into the house? Cameron, during his interview, is going on about, oh, he busted through the door. Okay, so a family of 6 kids and one single mother did not hear the door busted through, and they had a surveillance camera? And then the other thing is when they're showing the door is in deplorable state. Like seriously, it looks like some kind of slumlord like door. It looks horrible, but it does not look busted down. Like I have seen doors busted down when somebody comes in, and yes, this guy was trying to be stealth, but like there was it just it didn't look busted down. And that's not my like professional opinion. Like I'm not like LAPD Officer Detroit Alley Cat. I'm just saying like busted down like it would have like signs, and it looks like it looks like it's been abused, but it doesn't look like it's been abused just once. It looks like it's been abused over and over and over and over again. And here's the other thing. So why did Darren Brown go to the twins' rooms? He didn't go to the other kids' rooms. He went straight to the twins' rooms, right? And how did he know where the twins' rooms were? And then why did he go back for Carter? There was another small child in the house. Why didn't he go after that small child? It's just there's a lot of questions. Like, okay, I'm just gonna throw this out. I'm not even gonna say anything. You guys think about it. I mean, I feel like it's very obvious of what could have happened. It's just there's something weird. So, there's another part of the story too. 10 weeks prior to Cash's abduction, the neighbor next door said they saw Darren like scouting out Cash and Carter's home. Like he was walking around the fence trying to figure out like how to get in, doing all these things. And they called the police and they said that the police really did not do anything. There's multiple reasons for that. And we all know the state of affairs that are going on right now. And, you know, the police just didn't look into it good enough. And now Cash is not walking the planet. And that's really sad. So let's talk about the video that is been released on YouTube and all kinds of different channels. Let's talk about how that got out there. So Monica was actually interviewed by the Daily Mail, and I find it really suspect. Like, why was she interviewed by the Daily Mail? Like, why would she let herself do that? And how did the video get released? Well, I'm just gonna give you an idea, a thought that I might have. If you had surveillance camera of the child being abducted, I'm pretty sure you could sell that. And if you're being interviewed by the Daily Mail and they were like, "Oh, you have surveillance camera," and they offered a certain amount of like monetary compensation for the video, and you have like all these kids, you might be tempted to sell the video footage of this. And that's just me making an assumption, and maybe I shouldn't make an assumption, but something's not right. There's just something not right. So Melinda has been reunited with Carter, or at least that's what's being put out there by the Dallas Police Department, which I think is great because I think this poor little boy is going to have a lot of trauma to deal with. And mm, Melinda has said that Monica and Trevor cannot come to Cash's funeral. And I guess Monica's really upset about that. And once again, reiterating, Monica is the woman who said that she was Cash's mother, which she wasn't. And she said that Monica said that she loved Cash and that Melinda wasn't taking care of her kids and that she should be allowed to come. And I think if it was me and I was Melinda, I would let Trevor come because number one, that's his son, and number two, you could have the Dallas Police Department there and that he could be talked to by them or other things if you get what I mean. I feel like you can't really deny a parent the right to go to their funeral. This is not cool. Unless, of course, they caused the death of their child. And I mean, that's kind of debatable. Like, in the statement that Trevor gave his family to release, he said he was really sorry about what happened. He trusted Monica and that he thought he was doing the right thing because he was trying to look for a better job and he did not want to uproot the children. So he lied in this statement. And I feel like if he was trying to do the right thing right now and if he was sorry, he would come back. He would like man up and talk to the police and help figure out what happened to your child because I truly do not believe that everything has come out. There's like something wrong, something's not right. Something smells wrong. And also, when you go through the pictures of the house that they were staying in, like it just looks a little messed up. It does. And that could be me being a jerk because I mean, you got six kids. Your house is gonna look a little bit messed up, you know? But there's like holes in the wall and it just has a look to it. It just has a look to it. And the other thing is with Monica sleeping in till 10 o'clock. All right, if you're claiming to be these two twins mothers, um, I have kids, and when they wake up, when they breathe, when they do something at that age, I was immediately up. Like, there was no sleeping in. Like, I had to go get them. And the only time I would go back to sleep is when a relative or the father of the children would be like, hey, I got this. Go back to bed. And then I was like, okay. But even still, if I heard them crying, I would immediately get up. So, yeah, I understand sleeping in till 10 o'clock because now I do sleep in till 10 o'clock. But no, I don't understand sleeping into 10 o'clock with two 4-year-olds and you have two DUIs on your rap. So you got something going on that you didn't talk about. I'm just saying. It's a really sad, horrible situation. I guess the town came together and they were sitting down and they basically said, like, you know what? We don't feel safe in this neighborhood anymore. And it looks like a decent neighborhood from what I saw. Like the houses are big, they're nice, they're clean. And it's like, they're like, we don't feel safe here. And you know what? I wouldn't feel safe there either. It's sad. Like, how does a person get into somebody's house with no one noticing and take a 4-year-old? I don't know. And these are things that keep me up at night. Anyway, I hope Cash gets the justice he deserves because that little 4-year-old should have had a beautiful, wonderful life, and what happened to him was ever so wrong. And I really wanted to cover it. Anyway, if you watched this entire video and you listened to my rant, and it is a rant because I am upset because I do not like these types of cases. There should not be children being murdered. There should not, but there is. If you watch this entire video and listen to the entire story, I really appreciate it. I appreciate you guys coming to my channel. I would love if you thought about subscribing, leaving a comment, telling me what you think about this case. Am I crazy, or is it just sounds like someone broke in and took the kid? Or does there sound like something else happened? Because I feel like there's something else that happened. I have no doubt that Darren Brown took that child, but I don't think he was alone in this situation. Maybe he was. Maybe he was. Maybe I'm horribly wrong, but something smells foul. Just foul. And that's what I think. Anyway, guys, thank you so much again for watching my channel. Have an amazing week. As always, stay safe and stay spooky.